Alright people, welcome to the Critical Focus channel and this complete guide to all of the armies from the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. I'm not going to go over Legendary Legions and Fantasy, Fellowship and stuff like that, but main armies that are available to play in this game we all love and cherish. And I'm going to do one army at a time in order of appearance, and the first army to appear in the armies of the Lord of the Rings is the Fellowship of the Ring. So let's just get cracking, and before we get cracking, make sure to like, subscribe, comment and hit the bell button, right? So all of that stuff helps us out. Alright, so let's kick things off with the Fellowship. In all the long history of Middle-earth, there are few heroes as celebrated and admired as the Fellowship of the Ring. Formed at the Council of Elrond in Rivendell, this unlikely band of 9 companions set out to do the impossible. Destroy the Ring of Power and free Middle-earth from darkness. So this is obviously the most iconic warband you can play. And the interesting thing with this army is that it only includes heroes. You may include Frodo, Sam, Merry, Peregrine, Gandalf the Grey variant, not the white, Aragorn the Strider variant. You can include Legolas, Gimli, Boromir, Gondor, and you can also include Bill the Pony and Smeagol, but there are some caveats here. So it's comprised only of heroes, and you can include Bill the Pony if you include Sam. And if you only include Frodo and Sam, you can also include Smeagol, but otherwise you can't include Smeagol. And the army bonus is the you have my sword. As long as Frodo is alive, the army gets the Fearless special rule, so they don't have to roll for charging terror models, or they don't have to roll carriage tests. I mean, most of the hobbits aren't all that much to talk about really. Both Peregrine and Meriadoc is kind of useless. They're just 10 points each. Frodo is 60 points and Sam is 40. And Sting is pretty good. It adds 1 strength to Frodo's meager 2 strength, but you shouldn't really fight with Frodo. But you should probably take the Mithril Coat for 15 points, because that increases defense from 3 to 6, so kind of vital. Sam is has the special rule, let him go or I'll have you, Longshanks, so he can do the heroic combat when Frodo is engaged in a fight within 6 inches without spending any might. But let's talk about the important models here. We have Gandalf the Grey for 170 points. You could add a cart or a horse. A cart for 25 points. At the start of the shoot phase, select a single enemy within 6 inches of the cart and roll d6. On 4 price, the model suffers 1 strength 2 hits. It's not really all that good, is it? But yeah, a horse is probably the better choice. It has more move and it costs much less. It's 10 points instead of 25. But yeah, Gandalf is a beast. He can reroll fate rolls with Narya the ring, like all the other bearers of elven rings like Galadriel and Elrond. The Galamd ring adds 1 to his strength when he makes strikes, but he only has 1 attack, so he's not really a melee character. He has a lot of magical powers to use though, so he basically has 1 spell for every situation. Yeah, so it's a beast, but he's quite costly. But he's 3 wounds, defense 5, but with a lot of might and fate to help, and especially with that rerolled fate. So then we have the Strider variant of Aragorn for 160 points. You could add Anduril for 40 points, which you probably should, because that just makes you wound on a 4+ against any model, regardless of defense, and 3+ if you wield it two-handed. And he has that Mighty Hero special rule, which gives you the ability to spend a free point of might every turn, which just makes him very, very hard to beat. And he's 5 defense base, and you could add the armor to make that 6, and he has 3 wounds and 3 might, 3 will and 3 fate. So yeah, he's pretty hard to kill and quite a beast in combat. And Boromir is also very good, although this is not the best version of him. He's 95 points base, and he's a lot cheaper than Aragorn, but he only has, he has no fate points, but he has 6 might, and he can blow on his Horn of Gondor to aid him when he's outmaneuvered by 2 to 1 or more in a combat, and that will force the enemy to take a courage test, and if they lose, Boromir will win it. He can take a shield to buff up his defense to 6, so he has 6 might, so he has a lot of might to spend. 3 attacks with strength 4 is not bad either. So, and then we have Legolas. Actually, quite a lot better in melee than he is in range. But he has the deadly shot special rule, able to shoot 3 times, or you can swap out to hit 1 time with a 2+. And then you don't have to even bother with in-way tests or engage in combat and stuff like that, because he just pinpoints the target and he can choose whether he hits the rider or the mount when he shoots at the cavalry. So woodland creature special rule, and he has the fun little competition there with Gimli, final count 42. So if he has kills less models than Gimli, his shoot value is improved by 1. But his defense is kind of weak. He can take an armor to buff his weak defense to 5, and you probably should do that, because it's just 2 wounds, so yeah, you will need that a little bit of extra defensive buff. So Gimli, Son of Glowing, he has defense 8 though, so he won't be wounded all that much unless you are fighting someone like, say, Azog the Defiler, because he's good at killing heroes. Right? But let's talk about Azog much later. So he has special rules Axis of the Dwarves, and the special rule I myself is sitting pretty on 43. The first one means that he can choose if he wields 1 axe in each hand, or if he fights with his 2-handed axe. So 2-handed axe will have an easier time to wound, but the fight value will be lowered in the case of a draw. Depends on what you're fighting, but kind of versatile there. And I mean, he's fight 6 and strength 4 base, so I mean, it's really good. And he can you do the heroic strength action also. So, and he has 3 might, 2 will and 2 fate for 100 points. And his special competition with Legolas there makes it easier for him to wound when Legolas has more kills than him. Then we have Bill the Pony. He can't really fight, but he's like more of a buff character that other like hobbits can treat him as a banner with the official meal special rule. And the second breakfast passive special rule makes the members of the fellowship, if they end their move within contact of him, they can attempt to regain a might, will, or fate point spent early in the battle on a 5+. And then he has the only pony special rule. He can never charge enemy models for any reason, and no other models may use his standfast. He may, however, benefit from the standfast roll of any friendly hobbit models. Then we have Smeagol, which only then can take if you include both Frodo and Sam. And he has a cave dweller special rule, which like makes it easier to jump and climb and stuff like that. He has actually quite a decent stat line. I mean, he has two attacks with strength 4 and a fight 4. It's 1 might, 1 fate, no will though. And yeah, can only be taken if you include Frodo in the same army. That's it for the Fellowship. Just a couple of quick notes on actually wearing the ring, which Frodo does, which we shouldn't overlook, because that actually both buffs and curses him a lot. He is able to put on the ring at any time during the move phase, and as soon as he does so, he becomes invisible. And while he's wearing the ring, he cannot be directly targeted by magical powers or shooting attacks, and does not count as in the way. And he doesn't have any control zone. While invisible, and enemy models may even move through him. And if enemy models wish to charge the ring bearer while they wear the ring, must pass a courage test, applying a -1 penalty for every inch that is between the ring bearer and the foe. That's quite hard to represent how hard it is to actually see the ring bearer, not really how terrifying it is. And during the fight phase, enemy models engage in combat with invisible ring bearer halves its fight value for the duration of the duel. So fighting a ring bearer is quite a hard thing to do, which is good because Frodo's stats from the get-go isn't all that good. And also, if you want to remove the ring, if you've already put it on, you have to take a courage test as well. And furthermore, every round you need to roll a d6, and if you roll a 1 or 2, you lose control over the movement with the ring bearer, in this case Frodo. But regardless of who controls the move, the ring bearer is still part of the controlling player's side, and all other actions, shooting and fighting, for example, remain under the control of the controlling player. So yeah, that wraps up the Fellowship. So if you've enjoyed this walkthrough of the first army here, of this beautiful game, please hit that like button, and hit the bell button as well, right, and leave a comment. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe as well. See you next time. Then I'll go over the Shire, which is a fun little army. Try to get through all these videos as quick as possible. So starting with the Good Armies of the Lord of the Rings book, and then the Evil Armies, right? And then the Good Armies from the Hobbit, and the Evil Armies from the Hobbit as well. So have a lot of content to make here, but doing it bite-sized like this feels not like overly much work, and I can do it in my own tempo. So yep, and that's it for me. Take care. Bye.